This is Project 16, Grayscale to Pure Hue Conversion in Photoshop. This project is going to take you from the previous one to the next step, which is creating the hue chroma triangle. The last step before the final project. Everyone will be creating these, and everyone will need to create a hue to grayscale file. This is the master hue to grayscale file that I will be handing out at the end of these instructions. It is identical to the grayscale file that you generated earlier. As a matter of fact, the grayscale was a practice for doing this. If you click on the gradient tool from the tool palette, the gradient editor will open in the taskbar at the top of the screen. If you double click the editor icon, the gradient editor will open and it will look like this. This one has not been set to indicate any kind of gradient yet, and I'm going to show you how to assign a color to it. Now, you're going to need to open your master color file. As you remember, I did my color number 24 as an example, and here it is. I want to create a gradient from gray to red, or from gray that represents my color RGB 130 to my actual color number 24, or red 255, green 7, and blue 0. So using my color picker, the eyedropper tool, I select from the first gray. Opening my gradient editor, again I want to click on the small box on the far left side of the editor, and then assign the color gray from the color picker to it. Once I have it open, all I do is click on the sample of my color picker at the lower end of my tool palette, and Photoshop assigns that color to the gradient editor. Your gradient editor should now look something like this. Now we're going to repeat the process of picking the red color number 24 from the master color file and assigning it to the gradient editor like this. The gradient editor should now look something like this. Now I want you to open a new layer and name it Gradient. Then take the gradient tool and draw a line from the left side of the layer like this to the right. Once you've released the mouse, you should have something that looks like this. Note, if you look at the gradient layer editor, or the gradient layer which is in between the two, that gradient extends the entire width of the canvas. Now, just as we did with the grayscale file, I want you to go across the entire 10-step file and translate the transitional colors into solid colors representing the stages of that color that it goes through from the gray to the pure hue. This will make it look a lot like the grayscale that you just did. Here I am finalizing the 10-step color version of the color number 24 from gray to pure hue. If completed and printed off, it will look something like this. But we are going to need this for the next part, so just save this file when you're done. We'll be adding a number of layers to this file to represent both tints and shades. That's next.